Hi everybody, today we're going to talk about the hottest topic, which is the removal of the 15 months wait out period. Before you rush into buying or selling your place, it's best to understand how this will actually impact you, regardless whether you're looking to buy or sell, and most importantly, to understand why did it happen in the past and why now is the time that they remove these 15 months wait out. Anyway, I just want to share with you guys, right, actually we knew this was coming already. Based on all these articles that we see over here, the government actually dropped us some hints that these are actually going to happen very soon. So the removal of the 15 months wait out period was quite anticipated already. Before I dive into the video, all my videos are done to make understanding real estate easy and the most simplest form possible. If you like what I've been doing and hope to watch more videos like this, do help to like, share and subscribe. So now let's try back to 2022, why the brake was actually put in 2022. What happened was actually because the COVID supply crunch that we see over here, the BTO construction delays actually pushed demand into the resale market. Secondly, there was a 27 straight months of price increases. $1 million flats actually became a monthly occurrence, which is quite crazy back in 2022. And of course, there are more private owners purchased, more than double of them coming to the market. And lastly, the policy goal was actually to slow the demand, to protect affordability and give first-timers priority at the resale market as well. Over here, you can see COVID started in 2020. After that, in 2022, the 15 months wait out was actually introduced. You can see before that, the prices have already went up quite a bit. But even with the 15 months wait out, the prices continue to rise. Until recently, about end of 25, end of 26, you realize that HDB prices start to stagnate, and that's when the government decide to remove the 15 months wait out period totally. For those who are new in the market, I just want to let you guys know that the 15 months wait out period is not something that is common. Before September 2022, the norm was actually there's no wait out period at all. You can sell your condo and then you can buy a resale flat without any issues. But only after many months of HDB prices going up, that's when the 15 wait out period was being introduced. But we need to take note over here that this measure was meant to be temporary. And fast forward 4 years later, that's when the norm is being restored. Now the rule have removed, the market simply returned to how it was before September 2022. So the question you might be asking is, why only remove the 15 months wait out now? So the answer is actually very straightforward. Basically, the government have actually accomplished the mission they have set out to, which is to cool down the HDB prices. So over here, you can see on Q1 2026, it was the first quarterly decline in 7 years. Next, in Q2 2026, there's a second straight decline of negative 0.3%. So the first half of 2026, right, you can see the cumulative in terms of the price growth was actually negative 0.4%. So the removal trigger was actually that the price stabilization has already been met. So the big question over here is, will HDB prices skyrocket? Whenever there's an ease of cooling measure, we will always assume there will be an influx of demand coming in and therefore prices will rise. But in Singapore's properties market is a bit different. Prices of Singapore is very closely pegged to demand and supply. So before we assume that prices will rise, let's study whether there's enough supply coming up that will support the demand coming in as well. So for this, we'll be looking into two factors. One will be your BTO supply and your resale supply. So over here, we can actually see there's a supply cushion, which is a rising MOP supply that may absorb the demand over here. So you can see from here, 19,500 flats will actually reach the MOP by 2028, which is more than double of 2025's figure. So based on this, right, a rising pipeline of freshly MOP flats through 2028 can actually balance any extra buyer coming into this market through this policy moving forward. So point 2 will be your BTO supply. So over here, you can see in this article that 19,600 BTO flats were to be launched this year. So over 4,000 units will actually have a shorter waiting time. So when we see articles like this, we do know with a shorter waiting time, this will actually draw demand from buyers that were actually looking for a resale flat as well. Same thing for the next article over here, you can see there's a huge influx of MOP flat in 2026. So if you ask me, in 2026 itself, there's an influx of MOP supply, there's also an increase in BTO supply as well. Based on these two factors, the easing of the 15-month wait-out period will actually absorb the influx of MOP supply coming to the market, and the resale demand will actually be diluted by the increase of BTO supply as well. So in summary, in 2026 and 2027, I feel that the HDB prices will grow steadily. So now we'll look into what have changed through the removal of 15 months wait-out period. So in the past, you have to sell your private property, wait for 15 months, and then you can buy a HDB. Meaning in between, you have 15 months period that you might need to rent or stay somewhere else. But now there's no more wait-out period. You can actually buy a HDB first and sell all your private property within 6 months of the completion of your HDB. In terms of financing, in the past, there's no restriction if you were to buy HDB, whether you need to take a bank loan or HDB loan. But the main difference here is actually the financing. So let's say if you're a private property owner that sold your place, to buy a HDB next, you cannot take a HDB housing loan. You can either full pay or use a bank loan. So one thing still remains the same, that you still need a valid HFE letter in order to purchase a HDB. In summary, the 3 conditions that you must meet. Number 1, you cannot take a HDB housing loan for your next HDB flat after selling your private property. You must finance with either cash or bank loan. You can take a HDB loan only after a 30 months wait out period. Number 2, you need to sell all your private residential property in Singapore and overseas and must dispose them within 6 months upon completion of your HDB flat. And lastly, you need to have a valid HFE letter. However, there's one important thing that you need to take note. The 30-month wait out is not gone. This change does not mean that every property owner can buy a HDB flat tomorrow. The 30-month rule still applies if you fall in any of these groups. So the first group, if you are looking to buy a subsidized flat, so new BTO flat or a resale flat with CPF housing grant, you still need a 30-month wait out. And group number 2, if you are looking to buy an EC from a developer, there's still a 30 months wait out as well. And lastly, if you wish to take a HDB housing loan for your purchase, you need to wait out for 30 months as well. So for this portion over here is for those that already held the HFE letter or applied for HFE letter before this removal. So the first group, if you already held a valid HFE letter, firstly, you're unaffected, you can carry on with any unchanged plans. Number 2, if your HFE application is in progress, your eligibility status is updated automatically. Number 3, if you are pending appeal for a waiver, there's no need to wait because you can apply for a HFE letter directly already. And lastly, citizen above 55, previously you are limited to only 4-room flat. You may cancel your HFE, reapply now if you wish to buy a 5-room or larger flat. Now we are done with the HDB, but how about private property? So this is the part that nobody talks about. Actually, private is still climbing. So based on this, you can see for the first half of 2026, HDB actually went down by negative 0.4%, but private for first half of 2026 actually went up by 1.4%. So what does it mean to you when the market is actually diverging? Is actually that if you're selling a private, you're actually selling into a rising market. And next thing is, if you wish to buy a HDB resale market, good thing that you are buying into 2 soft quarters. And number 3, upgraders. The ladder for you to upgrade to a private property is actually stretching. It might become more and more difficult. You'll realize that the gap between your HDB price and your private will widen as well. And lastly, the government is watching. Let's say if the money from the private segment floods into the HDB market, the cooling measure might come in again. Now I'm going to run through 5 buyer profiles. One of them might be you. Profile number 1, the right sizes, basically people who are 55 and above or pre-retirement. So the question you'll be asking, is now my window to move from condo to HDB resale flat? So if you ask me today, you are one of the biggest winner because you can sell your private in the rising market and buy HDB after 2 soft quarters. And secondly, there's no more 15-month rental limbo for you. You don't have to rent for another 15 months before you can buy a HDB resale flat to move in. And next thing, a back-to-back transaction is actually possible again. So instead of moving multiple times, you only have to move one time. Just a reminder, the 6-month rule still apply. You need to dispose of your private property within 6 months of your HDB completion. Profile number 2, the overstretched private owner. So the question you'll be asking is, can I exit my heavy mortgage into a HDB right now? So firstly, good news, you can do it immediately. The 15-month gap was the wall keeping you away from doing so. Number 2, there's no HDB loan on this route, so you still need to take note that you will still need to take a bank loan. But good news, currently the bank rates are pretty low right now. Number 3, before you do anything, make sure to get your bank IPA for your HDB purchase first before putting your flat or your private flat on sale. And a reminder for this group, the assessment for TDSR for private property and HDB is different. Whatever you think that you can afford or you can loan might differ based on the TDSR stress test. Profile number 3, the first-time HDB buyers. Okay, so the question you will be asking is, will sellers now compete with me and push prices up? So my honest answer is, some segments will actually firm up in prices. Especially if you are looking for a 5-room flat, EA, EM, that's when prices will be a bit more competitive. Sellers will actually have a little more advantage as there are more right sizes coming to the market right now. But if you're someone looking for a 4-room flat, 3-room flat, no issues. I believe you have some options to choose from in the market right now. So number 2, which segment are you protected? Is actually the BTO and subsidized flat as they remain off limit to private owners. The third point, and also a good news for you, is that the supply is actually on your side. With the record BTO launches coming up and record number of MOP flats coming in, you actually have quite a bit of negotiation power in the market right now. Ending off with a reminder, if you're a buyer looking for 5-room EA, EM, you need to be a little bit more urgent when coming to making a decision, as there are more private owners coming to the market right now. Profile number 4, the HDB sellers. So the question you'll be asking, does this actually help me sell my flat? Point number 1, there's actually a pent-up demand from buyers coming in from the private market. So there will be actually a group of buyers that will be coming in that are more decisive and most importantly, cash rich. Point number 2, which is a repeated point amongst other profile, if you own a 5-room flat, EAEM, that's where you have an advantage over here. Last point is a reminder, regardless what type of HDB you are holding, as long as you are priced right, you will definitely be able to sell and move on from there. Profile number 5, the wait and see investor. So the question you'll be asking, should I sell my condo, park my money into HDB and re-enter private again later? So the answer is, mechanically it's actually possible again, but you need to be careful because this is a home, actually not a trading counter over here. Point number 2, the 5-year MOP still apply, so you can't buy a private property or rent out the whole flat during this MOP period. For point number 3, if you were to buy a HDB and then to buy a second private property, the ABSD will actually apply on you. So in summary, buying a private again while holding a HDB flat actually attracts ABSD. And lastly, as a reminder for those of you treating your HDB or private properties as investments, I just want to share a few rules can change, and rules likely will change if prices go up too fast or drop too fast. So do plan accordingly. The holding period is usually where you want to weigh your risk and your opportunity as well. And now we'll move on to the ripple effects of the removal of 15 months wait out period. Okay, over here you'll see a very clear chain effect that's going to happen. Firstly, now we have a policy change. Number 2, it's easier for people to right size from a private property to a HDB, and this will eventually generate more HDB buyers coming to the market, and also more private owners will come into the market as well. So if you are a buyer looking for a private property, this might be a good chance for you to start viewing units and also have more choices in the market as well. And lastly, because of the removal of the wait out period, those that have been renting to wait out will actually end their lease earlier and might not renew your lease. And that being said, the number of units coming to market for rent will be higher as well. So in conclusion, for the HDB resale segment, the demand may concentrate in 5-room, EAEM, recently MOP flats, or those flats that are well located. So the effect is unlikely to impact the whole market. For the private resale segment, very likely more listings will come out into the market, and the 6 months deadline could actually push realistic pricing from the private sellers. And lastly, for the rental market segment, I also mentioned earlier that there will be fewer right sizes coming into the market to rent, so likely we'll see more rental flats coming up in the market, meaning that the demand will actually be lower as the supply increase. This marks the end of this video, and if you like what you have just watched, do help me like, share and subscribe. And if you're an owner looking to sell or buy a property right now, you can scan the QR code and WhatsApp me. Let's chat.